Yay! Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my channel. I'm Novella and mostly I talk about translated fiction. And today is no different, but there are also a couple of English or American novels that I'm talking about. So yeah, here we go. What I have been reading. I don't know if you've ever heard about Leonora Carrington. Carrington was a surrealist painter, and she met Max Ernst around 1936-37, and she fled with him to Paris. After a couple of years, the Second World War started, Paris got occupied, and they couldn't get away straight away. And of course, Max Ernst, because he was Jewish, he was arrested and killed. Following that, Leonora is having a mental breakdown, but a very severe one. Her friends take her to Spain and they put her into a mental institution. This book is about her time in that mental institution, and she also speaks about the cruel treatment she gets from a doctor. She also makes a drawing of him. Look how cruel she sees him in a way, how distorted she sees him because of the madness she's in and the hallucinations she's in. But finally, she gets out of there, and she is capable to reestablish herself as an artist. She ends up living in Mexico and dies in 2011. And the cover is a part of a painting. So it's very... the madness, the hallucinations are always very present. It's a very interesting and very painful read, but also a very beautiful one. And I highly, highly recommend it. Then I read Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor. For me, this was a so-so read. So it's about La Matosa. La Matosa is an area, an abandoned area or a forgotten area in Mexico. People are struggling to survive there. And during summertime, some street kids find the body of a woman, and the woman is called the witch. There's a lot of envy, and there's a lot of drugs, and there's a lot of cruel people around and horrible people around who are struggling to survive and do what they do to survive. It's very feverishly written, with very long sentences, which I liked, but I really couldn't get into the story. There was always a distance between me and what was written, and I've seen better stuff like this. Last year I read a book that was written in the same style, but is only in Dutch available. It's by Jeroen Brouwers. Which was 100 times better, but it's not translatable, I think. Yeah, sometimes that's the difficulty. If you read in different languages, sometimes you come across books that are so well written, but are not translatable. But this one, was only at 60% of what Jeroen Brouwers did in his novel. Also in a bit of the same mood as Hurricane Season, but so much more fun for me to read, is the Nocilla Trilogy. This is the first book I've read, Dream. You can't say what it's about because it's about everything and nothing. It's like flipping through channels, and sometimes you only see flashes, and sometimes you stay a little longer to decide if you want to watch the the program or not, and then you flip through, you flip further, and then you go back, and then you see the ending of the story, and then you go through another channel. It's very chaotic, but it all makes sense. It's very also feverish written, there's a lot of humor in it, there's cruelty in it. It's an absolutely wild ride to read it, and I loved it. I love. So I'm looking forward to part 2 and 3, and then I will make a final roundup of this story. But it's amazing. Yeah, it's by Agustin Fernandez Mallo. This is Dream. Then I read Gabriela Cabézon Camara, The Adventures of China Iron. It's translated by Fiona McIntosh and Iona McIntyre. It's a fun book, it's a fun read. It's about China, who is first married to Fernando Iron, I believe, and that is a sort of a really well-known person in Argentina. And then after giving birth to 2 sons, he kicks her out of the house, and while she is wandering around the street, she meets Liz. And Liz is a Scottish woman who is a new settler, and also I forgot the third name, Ramona or something. Ramona, I think. And Liz and Ramona are trying to find a nice piece of land for the cattle, and Sheena is invited to join them. Liz is always telling stories about Britain and how grand it is, and they discover the pampas of Argentina together. It's very funny at times, very brazen, very erotic at times, very tactile written, and it's a beautiful story about coming to terms with yourself, with your sexuality, with your new path that you have to take sometimes without wanting to, and it was a fun read. Yeah, lots of fun. A really big surprise for me was I'm Staying Here by Marco Balzano. He's an Italian writer. I'm Staying Here is a beautiful book, absolutely tremendous book. It sets place in Trentino. Trentino is most up north of Italy. It's actually a part of Tyrol. Tyrol is Austria and Switzerland. So this story is set in Couronne, which is actually very German. They only speak German in those days. We are set in, the story starts around 1920s. And we follow Trina. Trina is a young girl, a young woman, with a very promising future. She's studying to become a teacher in German, of course. But then Mussolini arrives and his fascists, and he really wants to Italianize the area. So German is forbidden. It's forbidden to speak German. All the signs and even the tombstones are removed because they're in German. So it's a huge shock for the people because they always lived there. They always spoke Italian. And then there's people from Veneto and Abruzzo, and they come into their lives and they tell them to speak Italian, although they don't understand a word of what they're saying. So it's a horrible situation, a heartbreaking situation, but that's livable for them. more or less, and then she marries Erich, and she has, I believe, 2 or 3 children with him. And the oldest son refuses to learn Italian, and he refuses to go to school. And Eric is, agreeing with that, but it's not a very good thing to do. Then the war breaks out, and then you have fascism, and then you have Nazism. And Eric is forced to join the army, and he sees horrible, horrible things. A heartbreaking journey, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful because it shows how resilient people can be under immense stress and continuous stress of, 30 years. Beautiful read. Then I read The Land of Little Rain by Mary Austin. This is Mary Austin. What a beautiful person this is. Look at this. I absolutely loved it. It's not very poetically written. It's very sparsely written, but that's why I absolutely loved it. It's about nature and it's about coyotes and people who live there or try to survive there. She tells the tales that were told there. It's a must read. It's when you like nature writing, when you like learning more about Indian culture or Native American culture, a must read. This is an ask to you. If you know books that are written about the Sioux or the Lakota people, please let me know, because I really want to learn more about them and all Native American peoples in general. But Lakota and Sioux are something I often dream about them. That's really weird. I loved it. Mary Austin, The Land of Little Rain. Must read. It was published in 1938, 39, something like that. Then a book that I really, really enjoyed. And then I didn't know who this lady was. This lady is the Swiss Ella Maillart. She lived from 1903 till 1997, and she was a true adventurer. It's also Turkestan solo. It's also available in English. Turkestan solo. Who is Ella Maillart? Well, she is a stunt woman, an actress, a model. She's one of the most famous travel writers during the antebellum. That's in between the 2 world wars. She makes long solo trips. She was an Olympic athlete, because why not? She was a skier, Olympic skier. She was a sailor. She was everything. She was a formidable lady. Starts her journey in Moscow, and she is trying to get a visa to travel to Central Asia, which is denied for the most part. Sorry for the fly. Which is denied for the most part, but she leaves anyhow, and she travels to Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tashkent. She doesn't do it by train or whatever. No, it's on horseback. Well, she did do a little part on the train, but that was in just at the beginning, but mostly on horseback. Her descriptions of the people of the little towns, the marketplaces, the way she interacts with the people. It's phenomenal. What a phenomenal woman this is. She is absolutely formidable. You'll be blown away. It's Turkestan Solo by Ella Maillart. Then I also read, but I read a whole lot more, but it's only in Dutch. But I want to mention it anyhow. Seks voor money. It's a history about prostitution in Belgium. Well, Belgium only exists for 190 years, so it's also from way back. It starts with the beginning of the profession. It is written by Elwin Hoffman, Magali Rodriguez Garcia, and Peter Van Ees. Those are three professors. It's amazing. It's fascinating to read how prostitution, in a way, stays the same for a very long time, but only in the last 20 years is changing dramatically because of the internet. It talks about pimps, it talks about how prostitution isn't really the oldest profession in the world, which is sometimes said. It's one of, but not the oldest profession in the world. Prostitution only exists in areas where there are a lot of people gathered in a town. It was very well. I like reading about, and I've studied a lot around social history. I'm really interested in the common people, how they lived, because we know everything about the nobility and about kings and queens, how they lived, because everything is very well documented. But I love reading about the common man and the common woman, and how especially the position of the woman changes through the ages. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down, like the bankers in the 1500s and 1600s were not men, but were women. There were a lot of women that were traders, and they negotiated prices because they were much better at it than men. See, they had something to say. They were more or less equal to men. But then, sometimes religion changes. At the beginning of the abbeys and the monasteries, it was the abbess who was the leader, and not it wasn't a man who was the leader or even over the monks. But then one pope hated women with a passion, and he changed everything. Seks for money throughout the ages. Turkestan Solo, also available in English. Absolutely a must-read. Mary Austen, The Land of Little Rain. Marco Balzano, I'm Staying Here. Absolutely beautiful. The Adventures of China Iron by Gabriela Cabézon Camara. Translated by Fiona McIntosh and Iona McIntyre. Fun read. The Dream, part 1 of Nocilla Trilogy by Agustin, Fernandez, Mallo. Fun read. Hurricane Season by Fernanda, Melchor. Okay read for me. There are better books for me. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you stick around till the end. Bye bye.